I'm going to show you 3 very basic colored pencil techniques here. The pencil I'm using is called a Prismacolor pencil. It's a pretty good quality pencil, also tends to be a little expensive. If you want to buy some, I suggest trying the 12 pack, and I always try to find a Michaels coupon for 50% off or 40% off before I buy them. But try a 12 pack, which shouldn't be too expensive, and see if you like them. If you can't use Prismacolor pencils, there's a lot of decent quality pencils out there. I just like this because I like the softness of the lead. You can get a lot of good values here. First technique I'm going to show you is using monochromatic values. And with monochromatic, it tells you right there you're just using one color, the mono. And if you work your pencil correctly, you can get a lot of really good values out of one pencil. For example, with Prismacolors, you can go pretty dark. Like that. It builds up a lot of the lead and gives you a really nice rich value. But as you lighten up on your pressure, you'll create something called a value scale, which takes you from dark to light. And of course, if you lighten up even more, very, very pale. So you're getting all these different values out of one color. How would you use that? How would you apply it? Well, say I'm drawing something like a cone, one of the basic forms, and I'm shading that in. Got my dark side over here. Since I'm not using another color, I've got to rely on this blue to give me all my values. Got my light value, and then I can go in, start layering my dark value in there, and go even darker with more pressure. Some people prefer working monochromatic because it's a challenge to see how many values you can get out of one color. And so that's a technique that works very well. A second technique is using what I call layering. And with layering, you're just putting down several colors at once. And you start off with a light value and put that down. And then it's similar to watercolors in that your color is transparent. And take another totally different color. I'll tell you what, let's make this a little bit larger. Make it a bigger swatch of color. Then you can take a totally different color, say this red right here, and you can see what it looks like by itself. But let's say I want to layer this color on top, and you can see the difference right here in this middle section. You've got your plain red, you've got your plain blue, and then you've got the layered area right in here. I like layering because it tends to make things look a little richer. Now, not all colors will layer well together. For example, if I'm using this green, I'll bring this over a little bit. And then I use the red, which is a complement of green. Sometimes when they layer, they can get kind of muddy. Now, if you're looking to tone down a color, that's a good thing. Actually, that's not too bad. Okay, it tends to brown it a little bit. Okay, but that's with layering. Now, I don't have a lot of screen space left here, so I'll just show you a little example using a sphere, which if you're in my Art 2 class, who I'm making this video for, you've shaded some spheres already, maybe in Art 1, maybe in my class. But, let's say I've done my monochromatic values right there. But let's say I want it a little richer. So I'm going to take that blue and put it right down here for my darker values. So it just changes it up a little bit. You can use it to sharpen the image without actually outlining it as well. I like this red and blue together to create my shadows. I try not to use black for shadows in colored pencil. I like a combination, and this is, what's the name of this? This is Copenhagen blue and some sort of crimson. Can't read that. Okay, but right there. Oh, Crimson Lake, yes. All right, so that's layering, and you want to experiment with a lot of different colors for that. Now, lastly, I want to show you burnishing. A lot of my students seem to like this. You start out with just your color, and let's go ahead and do a darker value of this too. And I'm going to get out that Copenhagen blue again. Another good blue to use to make shadows, and I'm kind of going back on what I said before, is indigo blue. Indigo blue along with Crimson Lake gives you some really nice shadows. Okay, so how do I burnish? I use my white pencil. And what it does a little bit of blending. But you can see the difference in it. It changes the color a bit. Of course, when you mix white and red, you're going to get a pinkish cast. But if you look at it, you don't have the white spaces anymore. You know, you can see, if you look around here, you can still see the white of the paper showing through. Now, when you are working with burnishing also, you want to make sure, to kind of clean off the lead, so that when I go into this one, I don't have any red left on it. Now, there is also a tool called a colorless blender, and unfortunately, I'm doing this video at home and I don't have one with me, but if you remind me, I'll show you in class. All right, so you learned burnishing, learned how to do layering, and you've learned how to put in monochromatic value. Now, how are you going to apply this to your project? Well, I've got a continuous line or a contour line drawing here. It's kind of old, so I can't remember which one. You can go ahead and start picking up areas and putting in a little bit of color. Let me slide this over and get this leaf right here. This will be good for demonstrating. Now, you do not have to use realistic colors on this. I've had some people use different color schemes. They might decide they want all warm or all cool color. One student did one that was a combination warm and cool. You might decide to use complementary colors or monochromatic. It's kind of like what I'm doing here. And I'm using my monochromatic values here. Well, I'm kind of darkening areas, leaving others light. I could go in, do a little layering. And you don't have to layer with such opposite colors. Let's say you want to use, a whole set of blues or a whole set of greens. That's fine too. The trick with any of this is to experiment and see what you come up with. I'm going to go ahead and burnish this too, and kind of use all three techniques that I taught you in one. All right, so I'm picking out little bits and adding some color to it. I'm going to go ahead and finish this leaf. Put in a little bit of color. And take your time with this. As I tell all my classes, I go quickly because I know attention spans can be very short. But take your time. Do some experimentation on scrap paper like I showed you at the beginning of the video. Maybe I'll throw a little green in there just because. All right, so go out there, experiment, and have some fun with this.